This is Wonder Woman Flight of Courage at Six Flags Magic Mountain. This RMC single rail roller coaster opened in 2022 as Six Flags Magic Mountain's 20th roller coaster. Today, I will be reviewing Wonder Woman Flight of Courage. In this review, I'm going to be talking about the stats and technicalities of Wonder Woman Flight of Courage, the ride experience, and finally, my personal thoughts. As I said before, this ride opened in 2022 as Six Flags Magic Mountain's 20th roller coaster. This put Six Flags Magic Mountain in the #1 spot for most roller coasters in the entire world. This ride is also the tallest, longest, and fastest single rail roller coaster in the entire world. It stands 131 feet tall and reaches a top speed of about 58 miles per hour. There are a few small technicality issues that I have with Wonder Woman Flight of Courage. First of all, the amount of theming in the entire ride is very minimal. In the first section of the indoor queue, the Embassy of Themyscira, as it's called, is very well themed. But after that, it just becomes a blank metal concrete tunnel that just goes straight up to the station. Speaking of the station, there's absolutely no theming in there at all. But the amazing ride experience more than makes up for that. Also, the operations on this ride are very good. Because of the moving station, it means dispatches have to be in under about a minute, which means they can pump out trains incredibly quickly. Now let's get on to the layout analysis. Wonder Woman Flight of Courage starts out with a small right-hand turn out of the station. After this small right-hand turn, you then rocket very quickly up the chain lift hill. This lift hill feels very quick and very lonely, especially because you're in a single rail roller coaster car. After that, if you're in the back row, you will get yanked over the first drop. If not, you'll still get good airtime, but not as good as in the back. After you yank down the 90-degree vertical 130-foot drop, you will then go up into a dive loop. This dive loop is very whippy in all rows and delivers great airtime. After you traverse this dive loop, you pull up into the first big airtime hill of the ride. This ride gives sustained floater airtime, but not quite ejector airtime. After this, you twist up into a zero-G stall that leaves you out hanging for what feels like years. This is one of my favorite elements of all time, just because of how much hang time this ride can deliver on this element. After, you pull up into a tall turnaround section. Luckily, this element is proportional, which means it's small because it's tall up in the air, which means you don't have much speed going into it. But once you pull out of the turnaround, you get a good pop of airtime going down into a zero-G roll. Now this zero-G roll doesn't really deliver that much, but it's still fun to have there. That makes 3 inversions. After this, you pull up into the mid-course brake run, which usually does not slow you down very much, but it sometimes can. After this mid-course brake run, you get a good pop of airtime dropping off of it and go through a small turn. This turn brings you 180 degrees back facing the way you were before, and then you go into the finale. This finale is just so fun. You get so much sideways and regular ejector airtime just going up and down over those hills. The ride that this is a clone of, Jersey Devil at Six Flags Great Adventure, just has 2 off-axis hills and then a few regular hills into the brakes. Six Flags Magic Mountain's version of it does 2 off-axis hills, 1 or 2 regular hills, and then 1 final 90-degree twisted hill to the side before you then go into an overbank turn into the brakes. This ride is different from Jersey Devil because the entrance and station area are in a different location, which means they have room for 2 more extra elements. I think that this ride in general is very well paced and it keeps its speed well through the entire ride. For my final thoughts and scores on Wonder Woman Flight of Courage at Six Flags Magic Mountain, I think that this ride is very good, it's very well rounded, it has a lot of airtime, but there are a few small factors that hold it back from being elite and being better than the other RMC in the park, Twisted Colossus. For my final score, Wonder Woman Flight of Courage scores a 9.5 out of 10. This ride is really good, and I think it is one of the best rides at the park, but not quite up on the level of X2 or Twisted Colossus. Thank you so much for watching the video. Please consider subscribing if you enjoyed.